Hello, today we will be going through section 2 of chapter 2 of our algebra course hosted by Iridium Tutoring. Today we'll be going through a quick presentation about solving equations, much like our last video. Go make sure to check that one out too before looking at this one. Let's get into it. First, we'll be talking about the properties of equality. First up is the addition property of equality. So for all real numbers, A, B, and C. So A, B, and C represent numbers. So for all real numbers A, B, and C, if you look over here, if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. That's what the addition property of equality states. And before we get into this, I would just like to note that real numbers, whenever we say real numbers, refers to all types of numbers. The subtraction property for all real numbers, it states that for all real numbers, A, B, and C, again, A, B, and C are supposed to represent separate numbers. For all real numbers A, B, and C, if A equals B, then A minus C has to equal B minus C. Then we get into the multiplication property of equality, which states for all real numbers A, B, and C again, if A equals B, then A times C. So whenever we say AC, that's referring to A times C. As you get into algebra, you will see that this way is an easier way to write it for variables. Next, the division property. So for all real numbers A, B, and C, if A equals B and C does not equal 0, so this is how you say it does not equal 0, then A divided by C has to equal B divided by C. Next, the substitution property. So for all real numbers A and B, if A equals B, then B can be substituted for A in any expression. So if it was so B can equal A or A can equal B. So if there's an equation A plus 1 equals 5, and then over here you get B equals 4, then you can substitute A for B, and then you already know that B is 4, so 4 plus 1 equals 5, and that's correct. Moving on, the reflexive property. So for all real numbers x equals x, just like 1 equals 1 or 2 equals 2. Next is the transitive property. So for all real numbers x, y, and z, if x equals y and y equals z, then x equals z. See how in both of these y is the common, and basically what you're doing is that you're just removing y and x equals z. This is much like the substitution property. Next is the symmetric property. So for all real numbers x and y, if x equals y, then y equals x. Distributive property, for all real numbers x, y, and z, then x parentheses y plus c equals xy plus xc, because as you can see, the x gets distributed to y and the x gets distributed to z as well. Hence x times y and then plus x times z. So again, this is a multiplication factor right here. Try solving 4 minus x equals 2. What did you get for x? If you got 2, then that is correct. So the number 2 is called the solution of the equation. A solution is a value we put in a variable, like x. We'll talk about variables more later to make an equation true. Example, 6 plus x equals 14, or x equals 8, or 6 plus 8 equals 14. 8 is the solution in that case. So what we did here is that we solved for x by using the properties of equality. So what we did is that we subtracted 6 from both sides to get x equals 8. Then we just went back to this original equation, substituted 8 in for x, because as we see here, they're equal. They have to be equal. And then we did 6 plus 8 equals 14, which is correct. And 8 is considered the solution for this equation. Multiplication property of for equation. So basically the main point going on is that if you have an equation 2 over 3x equals 10, then to solve this, what you would do is that you would want to cancel out the denominator. So what you would do is that you would multiply the entire equation, make sure not to forget that, the entire equation by 3. So 3 and 3 cancel out, and then you also have to do 10 times 3, and then you have to do 2 times 3 as well. So actually my mistake, you don't have to multiply 3 times 2. So you would get 2x equals, and then 3 times 10 is 30. So x equals 15 after you divide 30 by 2, because the division property states so. And then back here, to cancel out this entire equation, you would just multiply the entire thing by 2. So these cancel out, and then you would have to multiply this. So x equals 20. Multi-step equations. Many equations require you to do more than one steps. For example, you might have to add on both sides and then divide both sides. For this, you have to isolate the variable first and then solve for it. So what we mean by isolating the variable is that given the equation 4x plus 7 equals 3x, you would want to first subtract 3x from both sides, because what you're trying to do is isolate the variable. So after you subtract it, you get x plus 7 equals 0. And remember, we're trying to isolate the variable on one side. So then you would subtract 7 from both sides to get x equals -7. Please pause the video, and if you want to try our practice problems. All right, here are the solutions. Number 1 is y equals 24. Number 2 is x equals 20. Number 3 is x equals 0. Number 4 is x equals 1/3. Number 5 is x equals 3. Number 6 is x equals 1. Number 7 is x equals 1/2. 8 is x equals 12. 9 is x equals 7. Finally, we will be talking about checking answers. To check your answers, you can plug in your answer into the original equation. So given the original equation 2x plus 5, you can solve it using the properties of equality to get x equals 4. Hence, solve for x. Then you want to go back to your original equation and substitute x for 4, because right here you already determined that x has to be equal to 4. So you can substitute 4 for x in any case. Now, what you can solve for this. So 2 times 8 is 8, and then 8 plus 5 is 13. So 13 has to equal 13, and that is correct right here. But if it was not, then you would do 12 not equal to 13, and that means that the answer you got here is wrong. So if they're equal, that means your answer is correct. Otherwise, it is not. That's it for this video. Stay tuned for section 3. See you later. Bye.